It sounds like a platitude, the title, but it's not. It's like, what am I doing here on the planet? It's very simple. It's only got 4 chords. When you need me, I stand beside you. I'm there for you.
Hello, Graham.
Hello,
and
Faith.
Hello, Peter.
Hello,
Hello,
Peter.
you guys. How you doing?
Good.
Good.
Lovely to have you, Peter.
Nice
welcome back. Yeah, welcome back, everyone, to Tea at 3. This is a Tea at 3 first. We have a guest, Mr. Peter Himmelman, a singer-songwriter and great musician. This is the first time we've had a guest, so pardon us if we have no idea what we're doing. We're going to continue in our process here of pondering the topic that we brought up last week, and then I believe Graham will be bringing up the topic later in the episode. So last week we talked about thinking through the impact that our choices make in life, and through that conversation came down to trying to delineate our top 3 motivators in those choices that we're making. So the top 3 things that we want to see changed in the world around us, and how those 3 things are motivating the choices that we make throughout the day. For me, that's like making sure I think more about choices, and for Graham, that's like making sure he has those things ready to go so that he can make not overthink choices and keep moving on. So that's where we're coming from. That's what we've been thinking about this week. Here we are, 2, 3.
You know, Peter, what Faith and I have been speaking about for 4 or 5 months now is the apparent readiness of people in the general media as an audience to knee-jerk in their reaction to something that they hear. Largely because media is so competitive nowadays that they're all seeking the same eyeballs, and they've all got their sort of base bubble that they're ministering to. But what we were concerned about is that if you just keep on knee-jerking, then you don't have an opinion of yourself. You just have a bubble opinion. And if you ponder something, you stand away from that experience and have a greater chance of having your own opinion by the time you come to the end of a week. That was the idea behind it.
Yeah,
anyway.
I like the idea very much. There's something out there called metacognition. It's,
Okay.
it's a big word for something that's easy to explain. That means that when you're acting in the world, you see and you have a cognizance of yourself almost from above. So, in other words, there are many people who feel that emotions are the thing that should drive art, for example. Emotion. But emotion needs to be superseded by intellect, because raw emotion is not ponderable. You get so amped up, and you're talking about the media, just to swim back from that. I liken what they do to fast food. Apropos of the Galloping Gourmet, salt, fat, and sugar, sex, violence, and anger. Those things are, incendiary, and they attract eyes so well. And those 3 things, the latter 3, more in particular, especially the violence, it's very attractive to people because your adrenaline picks up. You can't doze. But to have a whole society now that's locked into these kind of primitive instincts, again, makes pondering or kind of thinking deeply about any subject almost impossible.
Yeah. Just recently, you have a new song about receiving new eyes and new ears to see and to hear, obviously. But that beautiful picture of a baby at the same time. Tell us a bit about how that came about.
Well, the song or the photo? The song.
Yeah, just the whole idea of having new eyes and new ears to listen and to see what's going on other than what we see painted for us in the media?
The way that I work generally is, I don't know if you're familiar with the painter Jasper Johns, which I think I talk about this once in a while. He's a great American painter. And he says in a couple of interviews, when I approach the canvas, and Picasso has said a very similar thing, when I approach the canvas, I don't know what I'm going to paint. And that may seem surprising to some people. Obviously, the Renaissance painters had a very clear idea of what they were doing. But the idea of being led into the mystery of creation is something that resonates with me. And I think Jasper John's quote was, "Why would I paint what I already know?" And when you ask, so how that song arose, that song which has a strange title, Suite for Tambourine and Hand Claps, which doesn't, there's neither in the song, but you could add those easily. It really came about by me, and this is going to sound really simplistic, it came about by me taking a physical object, which was my guitar, so that I'm using that to create a distinction between digital life. This is a physical, tangible thing that you hold and you embrace and you touch. So there's all this wisdom that goes on that isn't necessarily intellectual. It's physiological as well. So what I did, and the chief thing that I did, was I sat in a chair with a physical object, in this case a guitar, which is good for making music, and an intention. Not an idea, but the intention was, I think I'm going to write something now, and let's see where this goes. And I started strumming these chords, and as soon as you make, say, an analogy between the seminal line that you would draw on a canvas and the seminal rhythm that you produce, you're already like a train down a particular track. There's a sense of unencumberedness. The internal judgment is not keeping me in my thrall at that particular time, and the song just issues forth. And I know all of us have had those moments.
That ties in pretty well into what this experience has been like for me, at least, in that we schedule it to happen every week, and we tell people we're going to post a video every week, and therefore at one point, at least this like hour that we're recording, this moment is us sitting down with the intention of like having that pondering. And I don't always know what I'm going to say. Sometimes I have notes, and sometimes something completely different happens. Sometimes we have a guest. So I really, I appreciate that idea of like sitting down with the intention of, I don't know what I'm going to do yet, but if I put myself in this place, then we can move forward from there.
Yeah, it's the convening together. And it sounds like such a simple thing. In order to create something, you need to arrive. That's why I said to Sky, like, yeah, I'll be on this show. If you have people that are reasonably intelligent and reasonably polite, you get together and without a script, maybe a very rough structure, beautiful things can ensue.
You see, Peter, we've been trying to find a way recently to do this, to try and wrap our arms around some space which is beyond ourselves, enough space for somebody else to come. So we're looking at the world as a whole and saying, we grasp onto you, world, and we would like these three things to happen to you, because they seem to be uppermost in our mind at the moment. We just thought it would be interesting to compare each other. And when we heard that you could come, we thought, whoa, this is good, because Tikkun Olam is important to you. I know. Please tell us what that means.
Well, I mean, it's become very popular, the idea. Tikkun Olam means the repair of the world. I'm going to get a little esoteric for a second. The word for world, olam, has an interesting sort of etymological relationship, which is very meaningful in Hebrew, to the word Helam. Helam means the hiddenness. So the world, the physical world, is noted in Judaism as a very real construct. It's not like you know, let's leave this world or anything like that. But the world in its physicality is hiding the fact that the world is being thrown into existence. The tikkun is the repair of the world. Repair of the world comes through, in Jewish terms, since the repair of the world is from a mystical Jewish source, this whole idea of tikkun olam comes through the performance of what is called mitzvot. The etymological sense of mitzvot is that it connects. It's a connection. And what is a connection? To that reality beyond that the world itself is hiding. So I don't know if that makes any sense or obfuscates everything you're thinking or gives any clarity whatsoever.
It's fascinating because there are two elements here. One is that outside concrete thing that you're talking about. The other one is this constant movement that's taking place, as in the second law of thermodynamics, entropy, if you will. And whether in our present world we have hastened entropy with our personal behavior to tilt entropy down so that it happens more vigorously, and whether in fact part of tikkun olam is to somehow bring out that deep dive into a shallower dive for more time for there to be.
It's a beautiful image. I like that. Yeah.
Okay. We must have 3 or 4 hours of this sometime. But Faith, my dear, can I ask you, I know that you will have faithfully pondered it, and here you are, and here we are. What are the top 3 things in your priority that you've thought about this week?
Yeah, this is definitely an interesting thing to try and boil down into 3 little bullet points. It was
yes. Yeah.
I'm sure that these are things that will continue to be an influence on me, but also will continue to evolve, which things I think need to be changed throughout my life. I think right now, as concisely as I can say just 3 things, I think my biggest influences that I want to see changed are a more empathetic and community-focused world, a world that lives into the environment around it and takes care of it, and I want to spread joy. So I'm sure I could explain those for hours and hours, but if you want to say your top 3 too, and then we could talk on.
Okay, I had this tremendous dichotomy between that which I can see and that which I can do, because I can see things that I would like to see change, and there are a lot of similarity with you, Faith, here. Number 1 for me is the climate, and I would like to be involved in mitigating some of the harm that is done, which means to change my habits to be less harmful with regard to all of creation, if you will. And the second one is I've been involved in trying to help people make behavioral changes with regard to their daily lifestyle habits. And I do know that there's a lot of people who go for an annual physical, and the doctor will hold on to their wrist and count their pulse and look at their, their lab reports and things, and say, well, you really need to do A, B, and C. And if you do, then that will lessen the risk for you. The person goes away saying, yes, doctor. And that's about as far as it goes, because we really don't have follow-up and preventative medicine assistance for people in the same way that we have a falling upon them when they're sick in order to get them well. So I like the idea of preventative medicine in a very deep and behavioral way that needs to happen. And the third thing, I think, I would like to see an international exchange idea, like exchange students, where people of different colors and races could be afforded to be able to go and spend a month in each other's homes around the globe. And then they go and spend a month, and then they write about it and speak about it and become emotive about the experience of spending time in each other's skins, if you will, or environmental skins. I thought that was kinship. So I thought that was really great. Now that's my outside, but my inside said, Graham, you need to listen more. You'll be happy about that, Faith. You need to listen to more where you hear the word hope and not the word hype. They're almost the same spelling, and there's an awful lot of hype around at the present moment, but you need to discern what is hope and then listen for that. Secondly, look for the term righteousness, peace, and joy as if it was just one word, so that you squish it all together, and it has a summary to it, which sounds like, with this, I can be content. I'm not looking for an escape hole somewhere. I'm looking for the evidence of those three worlds moving together in such a way that I can trust that there is a possible hope for mankind built into looking for that. And then the other one is to avoid divisive speech at all costs. Stop it in the moment, even if it looks like I'm being rude. Stop it. I do not want to talk to that which divides us. I want to talk about what can unite us. That's it. That's my job. So,
yeah, a couple just thoughts on what you guys said. First of all, Faith was beautiful hopes for the world, and the third one was it was about you, your place in the world, and in some ways, I, at least at this time in my life, I resonate most closely with that. There's such specificity around the idea. It's something that you're starting to do right now in this very moment. There's a concreteness to it. Shifting over to Graham, first of all, I love your voice. I don't even know where to start. There are people who you meet, and they're people that most people I consider they're kind of intermediate sort of people. They don't offend. How you doing? Nice to meet you. Well, what's the weather like? I gotta go. Okay, and how's the football game going? I think that's a majority of the people. And then you have people who are like human viruses. You just approach them. They don't even have to say anything. And they have such a malcontented sense of the world. I don't know what they've suffered from, but it's literally contagious, and you can't help but being brought lower, just being proximate to these people. And thank God they're extremely rare. And then on the other hand, you have people whom I feel like Graham is such a person. My dad was one, and they're very rare. They have a self-effacing manner about them, coupled with an incredible strength. And when you're with those people, and I've been fortunate enough to have been, proximate to enough, you feel like whatever it is that you want to do for the good, it becomes immediately amplified hundreds and hundreds of times. You walk away thinking, I can do this. So my three things, which I riffed on in the moment, were, and they're all personal. So my personal thing is to increasingly, moment by moment, escape from this assiduous, constant, powerful sense of negative judgment that just goes through me all the time. To walk in spite of my fear, to speak my mind in spite of my fear, to say I love you to the people that I love in spite of the vulnerabilities that it might enact in me. Number two is to widen moment to moment the scope of my ability to give. And I don't know, right now, this little moment in my life, maybe because I just had a grandson, maybe because I'm 60 and a sense of mortality that I never would have had at, 20. How old are you, Faith?
26.
26. I would never have had it. But there's something wonderful about that sense of mortality if it doesn't sort of flow into depression. It creates a sense of urgency. Like, you shouldn't wait for a day or a month or a year to call someone and say, hey, man, I just want to say I am so enriched by your presence in the world. I just want you to know. I spent so much time as like a rock and roll guy, like trying to be cool. Like, I'm not cool anymore. That's done. I'm bald. It's like there's no more cool. And it's a hell of a relief. So widen the scope of my ability to give. And the third one was to gather my strength. And this is the other thing I'm looking at Graham. I mean, the dude is 86. You look like you're ready to kick someone's ass. I mean, like, that gives me more time, to act in ways so that there's a purpose to it, not just to like look good, but like I want to stay alive to use I think I have very powerful resources, and oftentimes I'm not aware of them, to like tell somebody that you could do this and light people up. I don't really think about that much on stage and with music. It's just like, it's something I've done since I'm a kid. So to gather strength around this ability and purvey it in greater measure. And those are all really personal.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's all I can do.
Yeah. What's exciting about that is you too are recognizing that there are forces out there about which we can do virtually nothing. I have a little electric car. I'm doing something. We don't do plastic bags. I'm doing something. So at least that's something towards this huge thing. But it is that which is actually within our grasp that we can do to change. And when we see that changing, then that says to us, I think, there is hope for this world. If I can do these changes just within my grasp, it's a possibility that the world also can change. I love that thought. Face is 26, added to 60 equals 86. By simply adding the two of you together is my age, which isn't that extraordinary that we should be brought together with that kind of time?
Oh my God.
Each one of us have declared today that we'd love to be wiser for the general benefit of mankind. I think that's true.
Those ideas they're not hypothetical. There's a holiday it's called Rosh Hashanah coming up. The nature of the day is connecting with this higher force. It's a very personal thing. I need to grow as a person. This is about something that's really close and in here.
Faith, I think for our next time of pondering, I'd like to take out, because of Peter being with us today and listening to his heart, I think I would like to go looking for a simple story between a couple of people, two or three, where something right was happening, something that within that was a gesture of friendship, a gesture of caring, of compassion, of the very things that we would love to see more often but don't, that we could come back and tell each other stories next time we get together. Rather than ponder them, we go looking for a story in this week. Does that make sense?
That will take the curve, your entropy curve, up like that.
Wouldn't it? Yes. Well, that's what I'm getting from you, Peter. And Peter, would it be possible for you to play us out? I think it would add something extraordinary to our lives.
Well, I mean, I could play that song that you're talking about, or I could play you something else. I could play you.
Just hold it and do it. There you go. We trust you.
Play you something I wrote for my wife a long time ago. This is a song that was somewhat popular for me. I played it all over the place, all over town. It's called "Mission of My Soul." It sounds like a platitude, the title, but it's not. It's like, what am I doing here on the planet? It's very simple. It's only got 4 chords. When you need me, I stand beside you. I'm there for you, wherever you go. When you're hungry, I'll satisfy you. That's the mission of my soul. Yeah, 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 yeah. When you need confession, I'm there to listen. When you're crossing the ocean, I got a boat to row. When you need attention, your audience won't be missing. But that's the mission of my soul. Singing, yeah, 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 yeah. Little solo going on, organ solo, keyboard, piano solo, slide guitar, imagine it. I'll just keep the time. Ooh, yes. Take it down, band, 2 times up on the 1. When you're sleeping, I'll make your bed now. When you're unsure, I'm gonna let you know. I said, baby, don't you struggle your head now. That's the mission of my soul. Yeah, 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 yeah. Free verse. I'm looking at a man, looks about 68. That is to say, man looks great. And from my words, you might infer I am referencing Mr. Graham Kerr. I'm gonna tell you about a 26-year-old. She got hair, she got the sparkle of solid gold. If she made a record, you know it'd be a hit. People, I'm talking about Mrs. Faith Schmidt. Come on, yeah, hey, yeah, hey, yeah, yeah, hey, yeah. 3 times, man. Got it. When you're making plans and you need a partner, baby, I'm your man. Just tell me, when do we go? You be my flower, I'll be your gardener. That's the mission of my soul. That's the mission of my soul. You say, I know it's the mission of. Should we take it up like a Sunday morning gospel? 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. My right hand's got the power. It's got the power to heal. That was a
lovely.
hypercharged version.
Oh, Peter, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much for coming this week to speak with us on Tea at 3. Moving forward with this week, we will be pondering one tangible example story of something that we saw around us that fulfills our concept of good that we'd been talking about this week, in order to have hope in those tangible things. If we can grab like a rock wall, each little hold is a pocket of hope, and we can climb all the way to the top. And then there's a good view up there or something. Metaphor. So that's what we will be thinking about this week. We will see you all next week. Thank you so much for being here, Peter.
Thank you, guys.
Yes,
That was
Peter.
so decorous. That was incredible. Talk about it.
Wasn't it? I could tell.
Right on. Bye-bye, you guys. See you soon.
Right.
God bless you. Thank you. God bless you.
Yes, and please do subscribe if you're not already. Leave a like on the video if you enjoyed watching, and please leave your comments down below. Let us know if you liked us having a guest. If there's anybody out there who wants to join, contact us, and we'll figure out how to make it happen. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah.